A reading from the book of Lamentations. First Lamentation, chapter 1. Aleph. How lonely sits the city, thronged with people, thronged with nations. He has become like a widow. Princess among provinces, she is now put to forced labor. Beth, she weeps bitterly in the night, tears on her cheeks. Not one from among her lovers to comfort her. All her friends have betrayed her and become her enemies. Gimel. Judah has gone into exile after much pain and toil. Living among the nations, she finds no rest. Her persecutors have all overtaken her. There is no way out. Dalet. The roads to Zion are in mourning. No one comes to her festivals. All her gateways are deserted. Her priests groan. Her young girls are grief-stricken. She suffers bitterly. He. Her foes have become her masters. Her enemies prosper. The Lord has made her suffer for her many, many crimes. Her children have gone away, captives before the oppressor. Wah. From daughter Zion, all the splendor has departed. Her princes were like stags, finding no pasture, exhausted as they flee before the hunter. Zain. Jerusalem remembers the day of her misery and distress when her people fell into the hands of the foe. There was no one to help her. Her enemies looked on and laughed at her downfall. Het. Jerusalem has sinned gravely, so she has become a mockery. All who honored her despise her, for they have seen her nakedness. She herself groans aloud and turns her face away. Tet. Her filth befouls her skirts. She took no thought for her future. Her fall was a wonder, with no one to comfort her. O Lord, look at my misery, for the enemy is triumphant. Yod. The enemy stretched out his hand on all her treasures. She saw the nations enter her sanctuary, those you had forbidden to enter your assembly. Kaf. All her people are groaning, looking for something to eat. They have bartered their treasures for food to keep themselves alive. O Lord, look and consider how I am despised. Lamed. Is it nothing to you, all you who pass this way? Look and see if there is any sorrow like the sorrow brought upon me, which the Lord inflicted on the day of his burning wrath. Mem. From on high he sent fire deep into my bones. He stretched a net for my feet. He pulled me back. He left me shattered, faint all the day long. None. From my sins he made a yoke. With his hand he entwined them. His yoke is on my neck. He has sapped my strength. The Lord has put me into hands that I cannot resist. Samek. The Lord has rejected all my warriors within my walls. He has summoned a host against me to crush my young men. In the winepress, the Lord has trampled the young daughter Judah. Ain. For this I weep. My eyes stream with tears. No comforter is near to refresh my soul. My children are shattered, for the enemy has proved too strong. Pei. Zion stretches out her hands with no one to comfort her. The Lord has commanded Jacob's enemies to surround him. They treat Jerusalem as though she were unclean. Said, the Lord is in the right, for I rebelled against his command. Listen, all you peoples, and see my sorrow. My young girls and my young men have gone into captivity. Quoth, I called to my lovers, they failed me. My priests and my elders have perished in the city as they searched for food to restore their strength. Resh, look, Lord, I am in distress. My stomach churns. My heart turns over inside me, for I have utterly rebelled. Outside, the sword bereaves. Inside, it is like death. Shin. They have heard my groaning, but there is no one to comfort me. All my enemies have heard of my disaster. They are glad about what you have done. Bring the day you once foretold so that they may be like me. Tau, let all their wickedness come before you. Treat them as you have treated me for all my crimes. Numberless are my groans, and I am sick at heart. The word of the Lord. A reading from the book of Lamentations, chapter 2, second lamentation. Aleph. In his anger, the Lord has cast daughter Zion under a cloud. He has flung the splendor of Israel from heaven to earth, paying no regard for his footstool on the day of his wrath. Beth. Without mercy, the Lord has swallowed up all the dwellings of Jacob. In his fury, torn down the fortresses of daughter Judah, thrown to the ground in dishonor the kingdom and its princes. Gimel. In his burning anger, he broke all the strength of Israel, withdrew his protecting right hand in the face of the enemy, and blazed against Jacob like a fire that burns all around it. Dalet. Like an enemy, he bent his bow, braced his arm like a foe. He slaughtered all those who delighted our eyes. On the tent of daughter Zion, he poured out his anger like fire. Hey, the Lord has become like an enemy. He engulfed Israel. He engulfed all its citadels. He destroyed its fortresses. And for daughter Judah, multiplied weeping and lament. War. He wrecked his dwelling like a garden, destroyed his sacred assemblies. The Lord abolished in Zion festival and Sabbath. In the heat of his anger, he spurned both king and priest. Zen. The Lord has rejected his altar and disowned his sanctuary, has given her palace walls into the hands of the enemy. In the temple of the Lord, they made the sound of a festival. Heth. The Lord resolved to destroy the wall of daughter Zion, stretching out the line, not staying his hand from destruction, bringing grief on wall and rampart. They crumbled together. Teth. Her gates have sunk to the ground. He has broken and shattered their bars. Her king and her princes are among the nations. There is no instruction, and her prophets can find no vision from the Lord. Yod. Silent, they sit on the ground. The elders of daughter Zion, dust on their heads and girdled with sackcloth. The girls of Jerusalem bow their heads to the ground. Kaf. My eyes are spent with weeping, my stomach churns. My heart plummets at the destruction of my young people. As the children and babies grow faint in the streets of the city. Lamed. They keep saying to their mothers, "Where is bread and wine?" As they faint like wounded men in the streets of the city. As their lives are poured out on their mothers' breasts. Men. To what can I compare or liken you, daughter Jerusalem? To what can I liken you and comfort you, virgin daughter Zion? For huge as the sea is your ruin. Who can heal you? None. The visions your prophets had for you were false and deceptive. They did not lay bare your guilt to avert your captivity. The visions they told you were attractive, but false. Samek. All who pass your way clap their hands at the sight. They hiss and shake their heads over the daughter Jerusalem, saying, "Is this the city they call perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole world?" Pay. Your enemies all open their mouths against you. They hiss and grind their teeth, saying, "We have swallowed her up. This is the day we were awaiting. At last, we have seen it." Ain. The Lord has done what he planned, has carried out his threat as he ordained long ago. He has destroyed without mercy. He has given the enemy joy over you and exalted the might of your foes. Said. Cry to the Lord, rampart of daughter Zion. Let your tears flow like a torrent, day and night. Allow yourself no respite. Give your eyes no rest. Quoth. Up, cry out in the night, as each watch begins. Pour out your heart like water in the presence of the Lord. Raise your hands to him for the lives of your children who faint with hunger at every street corner. Resh, look, O Lord, and consider, have you ever treated anyone like this? Should women eat their little ones, the children they have nursed? Should priest and prophet be slaughtered in the Lord's sanctuary? Shin, children and the elderly are lying on the ground in the streets. My young men and girls have fallen by the sword. You have killed them on the day of your wrath. Slaughtered them without mercy. Tau, as though to a festival you called together terrors from all sides. On the day of the Lord's anger, none escaped or survived. What I had nursed and raised, my enemy destroyed. The word of the Lord.